Let's talk facts, not fantasy, not fairy tales. Let's talk about reality, the kind that people are too afraid to say out loud because it might ruffle some feathers. You men, they're not just picking any woman. They're not out here throwing attention like confetti, hoping someone catches it. No, you men are deliberate, calculated, disciplined, and when they choose a woman, it's not by accident. It's because she carries something more than beauty, more than a pretty face. She carries substance. Now here's where women get it wrong. You think being good means being passive. You think good means saying yes to everything, smiling when you want to cry, shrinking yourself so someone else can feel big. That's not a good woman. That's a woman who hasn't met herself yet. A good woman is not weak. A good woman has standards. She speaks truth even when her voice shakes. She walks away when she's not respected. She prays when no one's watching. She holds her values like gold, not giving them away to be liked, loved, or lusted after. She doesn't compete for a man. She prepares herself for the right one. And a high-value man, he sees that. He sees past the filters, past the performances, past the noise. He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for peace, for loyalty, for depth, for character. He's not swayed by the woman who shows the most skin. He's drawn to the one who shows the most strength. And let's get this straight. A good woman isn't picked because she chases. She's picked because she attracts. Her energy speaks before her lips ever move. Her life is not built around men, it's built around purpose, around healing, around growth. And that's what magnetizes a man who's already done the work. You think he wants someone to party with. No, he wants someone to build with. Someone to trust with his scars, his dreams, his soul. He doesn't need a woman who impresses the world. He needs one who inspires his world. But you can't fake that. You can't pretend to be grounded when your roots are shallow. You can't pretend to be loyal when you betray yourself daily. You can't expect a king if you're still acting like a servant to your insecurities, and you definitely can't attract high value if you don't know your own. A good woman doesn't just wait to be chosen. She chooses herself first, every single day. She chooses to rise above the drama, to speak life over herself, to leave spaces that don't honor her, and because of that, she stands out. Because good women today are rare, not because they don't exist, but because many are told that goodness makes them weak. No, it makes you unshakable, and yes, you man will pick a good woman. But only if she's not hiding behind who she thinks she needs to be loved. You don't need to compete. You don't need to chase. You don't need to be louder, sexier, trendier. You need to be real. Grounded whole. The truth is, women often say, where are the good men? But I'll ask, can a good man recognize you if you don't even recognize yourself? You see, a good woman is not invisible, but she's not everywhere either. She's not for everyone. She doesn't belong to the crowd. She's rare, reserved, refined, and a high. You man doesn't need the whole world. He just needs one woman who's real, who's rooted, who brings him closer to God, not further from his purpose. Who doesn't confuse her beauty for her entire worth, because she knows that her mind, her values, her peace, those are the real assets. So yes, you men pick good women, but not because they're looking to save her. It's because they recognize themselves in her. They've both done the work. They've both walked through fire. They've both chosen growth over comfort. And when they meet, it's not fireworks, it's alignment. Because a good woman doesn't need to be loud to be seen. She just needs to be authentic. And that, my dear, is what a you man never overlooks. Good women have substance, not just beauty. And that's what separates them from the crowd. Beauty may turn heads, but substance holds hearts. Beauty might enter the room first, but it's the woman's spirit, her depth, her intellect, her values. Those are the things that make a man stay. Any woman can be beautiful. Not every woman can carry wisdom. Not every woman can walk into a man's life and breathe peace into his chaos, clarity into his confusion, vision into his restlessness. That takes more than looks. That takes strength. That takes character, that takes work. We live in a world that constantly teaches women to decorate their bodies but not develop their minds, to chase attention, not purpose, to prioritize appearance over identity. But you men, the kind of men who are building legacies, who are grounded in truth, who lead with purpose, those men are not moved by shallow beauty, they're moved by essence, by the kind of presence a woman carries when she walks in integrity. When she respects herself, when she speaks with conviction, when she has a sense of direction that doesn't revolve around being chosen by a man. A woman with substance isn't living to be picked, she's living to be purposeful. She has her own lane, her own rhythm, her own standards. She's not constantly reinventing herself to fit into someone else's preferences. She knows that her worth doesn't rise or fall based on who notices her. She's grounded in the fact that her value is not something a man can give or take away. It's in who she is when no one's watching. It's in how she loves, how she serves, how she prays, how she stands alone when it's easier to follow the crowd. This kind of woman doesn't need to advertise her goodness. It shows in how she treats people who can do nothing for her, in how she carries herself in rooms that are filled with noise, in how she refuses to betray herself just to be accepted. Her strength is silent but undeniable. Her loyalty is rare but unwavering. Her wisdom is gentle but sharp, and you cannot manufacture that kind of substance with makeup, filters, or fashion. That comes from a life refined by truth. That comes from heartbreak that taught her patience. That comes from rejection that taught her resilience. That comes from seasons of silence that taught her to hear God's voice louder than public opinion. Beauty can open doors, but substance is what keeps them open. Because a man isn't looking for someone to impress his friends. He's looking for someone who brings him peace when the world is on fire. He's not checking for who has the most followers. He's checking for who's most faithful when nobody's watching. He doesn't need a woman who chases trends. He needs one who's anchored in timeless principles. A woman whose priorities reflect discipline. A woman whose love is not reckless but intentional. A woman who knows how to be soft without being weak and strong without being hard. Too many women spend their lives mastering how to look good, but neglect how to be good. And let's be clear, being good doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real, being rooted, being honest. It means showing up for yourself in a world that profits from your insecurity. It means not selling your soul for a compliment or trading your values for validation. It means saying no when you want to say yes just to be liked. It means walking away from relationships that demand your body but disregard your spirit, because real substance is rare. It's not cultivated in popularity, it's cultivated in privacy. It's developed in the seasons when nobody's clapping for you, when you're doing the work of healing, praying, growing, crying, surrendering. That's where a good woman is built, in the shadows, not in the spotlight. And when a man meets a woman like that, he knows. He knows she didn't get here by accident. He knows her smile carries stories. Her silence holds strength. Her eyes have seen storms, but her faith never wavered. This woman doesn't rely on seduction. She leads with self-respect. She doesn't manipulate. She communicates. She doesn't demand. She inspires. She doesn't play games. She builds kingdoms. She doesn't ask to be seen. Her life is proof of who she is. And while others may underestimate her because she's not loud, not flashy, not chasing the limelight, those who matter recognize the quiet fire she carries. Substance is not a trend. It's not a filter. It's not a hairstyle. It's not a social media bio. It's not how many likes she gets or how many people follow her. It's how she follows through on what she says. It's how she carries herself when no one is rewarding her. It's how she treats herself when the world treats her like an option. A good woman has nothing to prove because her presence already confirms everything. She's not boastful. She's not arrogant. but she's unshakable in who she is. And that kind of confidence, rooted in something deeper than appearance, is magnetic. And let me say this to the women who feel unseen: your goodness is not wasted, your discipline is not unnoticed, your character will not go unrewarded. You may not be the loudest voice in the room, but you are the foundation others lean on. You may not be the one they post about, but you are the one they come to when they need real love. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. Stay good, because you are the kind of woman that doesn't just attract attention. You attract destiny. Good women are not outdated. They are timeless. Their value does not fade with age, it deepens. Their impact is not measured by trends, it's felt in generations. A good woman builds more than moments. She builds legacy, and that's what you men are looking for. Not someone who turns heads today and disappears tomorrow, but someone who walks with them, prays with them, grows with them. Someone who understands that love is not a game. It's a mission, it's sacred, it's sacrificial, it's purpose-driven. When a man sees a woman with substance, he sees a reflection of everything he's worked to become. He sees discipline, he sees depth, he sees discernment, and that connection, it's not based on chemistry, it's based on compatibility, it's based on values, it's based on shared vision, because a woman with substance is not just a companion, she is a catalyst. She doesn't just follow his lead, she sharpens his mind. She doesn't just stand beside him, she covers him in prayer. She doesn't just echo his dreams, she expands his vision. That's why beauty, though appreciated, will never be enough. Because beauty can fade, emotions can fluctuate, life can get hard, and in those moments, it won't matter how pretty her face is if her spirit is weak. It won't matter how perfect the pictures look if the reality is chaos. It won't matter how many people admire her if the man she's with can't even trust her. A woman with substance is consistent. She's loyal when it's hard. She's graceful under pressure. She brings solutions, not just problems. She brings stability, not just romance. This is what sets her apart. She doesn't settle for being seen. She lives to be significant. She doesn't shrink to fit in. She rises to lead. And while others may laugh, judge, misunderstand, or underestimate her, she remains unmoved. Because her identity is not up for discussion. It's not for sale. It's not dictated by trends or timelines. It's anchored in truth. So when you hear someone say, good women have substance, not just beauty, understand this isn't just a cute phrase. It's a call to higher living. A call to remember that the most powerful part of a woman is not what she looks like. It's who she is when everything around her is falling apart. That's what you men are watching for. That's what sets you apart in a world of copies. You weren't created to be decorative. You were created to be divine. You weren't created to compete. You were created to carry glory. And when you walk in that, you don't have to chase. You don't have to beg. You don't have to prove. You just live in the truth of who you are. And the right man will recognize it, respect it, and rise with it. Being good doesn't mean being weak. This is the lie society has whispered into the ears of women for far too long. They've twisted gentleness into fragility, kindness into naivety, and patience into passivity. But true goodness, true feminine strength, is not soft like paper. It's soft like steel, wrapped in velvet. It's the quiet fire that refuses to be extinguished. It's the inner resilience that knows exactly when to roar and when to remain still. Being good is not weakness. It's power that doesn't need to shout to be heard. A good woman is not the one who lets herself be walked over. She's the one who knows how to walk away without making a scene. She's the one who sets boundaries and doesn't apologize for them. She's the one who has compassion, but not at the cost of her own peace. She forgives, but she doesn't forget who she is. She gives love freely, but she does not trade her dignity for company, Being good means having a strong spine, not just a sweet smile. It's being able to stand firm in truth, even when lies surround you. It's choosing what's right over what's easy, even if it costs you popularity or comfort. And here's the thing, good women often get misunderstood because the world doesn't always recognize real strength when it isn't loud. It expects drama, it rewards manipulation, it praises those who take shortcuts, who weaponize their femininity, who play games for control. But a good woman isn't playing, she's living. She's choosing peace over performance. She's choosing purpose over popularity. She's choosing love that uplifts, not love that drains. And that choice requires more strength than most people will ever understand. A good woman doesn't stay silent because she's afraid. She chooses silence because she knows her energy is sacred. She doesn't need to respond to every attack or prove herself in every argument. Her worth is not up for negotiation. She's not in competition with anyone. She's not comparing herself to anyone. She is rooted, not reactive. And when you're rooted, you don't get blown around by every storm. You hold your ground, you let the wind howl, and you keep growing. People think being good means being passive, but passivity is the absence of intention. Goodness is full of intention. It's a conscious choice to be kind in a cruel world, to remain soft in a society that celebrates hardness. To give without expecting, to lead without dominating, to serve without losing oneself. That's not weakness. That's strength on another level. That's courage in its most divine form. Because when you've been broken, betrayed, lied to, overlooked, and still choose to love, still choose to trust, still choose to hope, that's not weakness. That's unshakable power. The world tries to sell the idea that to be powerful, a woman has to stop being good. That she has to be cutthroat, cold, calculating. That she has to mimic masculine energy to gain respect. But the truth is, real power is in authenticity. A good woman isn't trying to be a man. She's fully woman. And in that womanhood, she holds a fire and grace that no one can replicate. She doesn't need to dominate to lead. She doesn't need to insult to assert. Her presence commands respect because it is genuine. Her goodness makes people feel safe, seen, valued, not small. Good women aren't weak. They're warriors in disguise. They're the ones who pray when others panic. They're the ones who nurture others while healing themselves. They're the ones who uplift others while carrying their own burdens. And they do it not for applause, but because it's who they are. They don't ask for credit. They just stay consistent. They're not the loudest, but they are often the strongest. Because their strength is not in their words, it's in their walk. It takes strength to stay good in a world that constantly tests your patience. It takes strength to believe in love after betrayal, to trust again after being used, to remain kind when your kindness is taken for granted. That's not weakness, that's warfare, and only the truly strong can fight that battle every day and still come out with their heart intact. Good women are not pushovers, they're powerhouses. They know when to speak and when to be still. They know when to fight and when to let go. They know how to love fully without losing themselves. They don't tolerate disrespect just to keep someone around. They don't bend their values just to be liked. They don't shrink to fit into someone else's idea of too much or not enough. They know their worth and they walk in it, even if that means walking alone. And yes, being good sometimes means making hard decisions, like walking away from people you love because they refuse to grow, like choosing solitude over toxic company, like saying no even when your heart wants to say yes. A good woman doesn't let her emotions run her life. She lets wisdom guide her. She listens to her intuition. She guards her heart, not because she's afraid to love, but because she values herself too much to settle for less than she deserves. You see, being good is not about being naive. It's about being discerning. It's about knowing that not everyone deserves access to your softness, that your love is not cheap, that your loyalty must be earned. A good woman doesn't throw herself at anyone. She lets people rise to meet her. She doesn't chase love, she creates space for it. She doesn't demand attention. She commands it by her very presence, and no, being good doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're real. It means you own your flaws but don't let them define you. It means you mess up but you get back up. It means you extend grace to others but also to yourself. It means you don't use your pain as a weapon. You use it as wisdom. It means you stay grounded even when life tries to shake you loose. And that kind of steadiness, that kind of grace under pressure, that's the kind of strength that cannot be faked. Being good doesn't mean you avoid confrontation. It means you choose to face it with integrity. It doesn't mean you never get angry. It means you don't let anger make you bitter. It doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It means you know how to protect your peace. Because a good woman knows that peace is more valuable than attention, more powerful than revenge, more fulfilling than validation. And when a woman knows peace, she becomes powerful beyond measure. This is why the world tries to convince good women that they need to change. Because a good woman who knows her worth, who walks in truth, who refuses to break under pressure, that kind of woman is dangerous to everything fake, shallow, manipulative, and toxic. She exposes lies simply by existing in truth. She doesn't need to argue. Her presence is proof. She doesn't need to beg. Her silence speaks louder than noise. She doesn't need to prove herself. Her life does it for her, and the truth is, not everyone will appreciate a good woman. Because not everyone is ready for the accountability her presence brings. Some will misread her kindness as weakness. Some will try to test her limits. But a good woman doesn't fold. She may love deeply, but she never loses herself in the process. She may bend, but she doesn't break, and when she walks away, she doesn't look back, because once she's seen that someone cannot honor her goodness, she doesn't entertain their presence any longer. Goodness is strength in its purest form. It is the discipline to remain noble in a world that rewards the opposite. It is the choice to keep your soul intact, your heart open, and your standards high. And that choice doesn't make you weak. It makes you rare. Because anyone can be reactive, anyone can be cruel, anyone can be flashy, but to be consistent, kind, grounded, discerning, loving, and firm, that's a level of strength most people never reach. So let them misunderstand you. Let them question you. Let them call you too soft, too nice, too emotional. Because one day, when the noise fades and the dust settles, they will realize you weren't weak. You were just walking in a strength they couldn't comprehend. And that strength, woman of value, will never go out of style. Hey Val, you men are not seduced by performance. They are not hypnotized by the surface-level spectacle that so many people put on in today's world. They don't chase a woman who merely plays the part, who memorizes the lines, perfects the look, mimics the behavior of what's trending, yet has no foundation underneath it all. Hi, Al, you men don't fall for that. Because they aren't looking for a show, they're seeking alignment, they're looking for something real, something rooted, something their soul can connect with, not their ego. You see, the world has become a stage. Everywhere you look, people are performing confidence, performing love, performing success. Social media has turned authenticity into an aesthetic and made performance into a currency. But Hive, Al, you men, they see through all of it, because a man who has invested in himself, who has built discipline, vision, and spiritual depth, doesn't want a partner who just knows how to pose for a picture. He wants a woman who can hold space when life gets difficult. He's not asking, can she impress the world? He's asking, can she walk with me through the fire and still believe in the vision? Alignment means shared values, not shared vanity. It means walking in the same direction, not just looking good standing next to each other. Hi, Val. You men don't need a woman who performs submission but disrespects him in private. They don't need a woman who performs kindness in public but nurtures resentment in her heart. They don't want to be with someone who pretends to support, pretends to understand, pretends to listen, just to keep the relationship alive. That's not a partnership, that's a performance. And for a man of depth, a man who knows who he is and where he's going, that's not only unattractive, it's exhausting. He doesn't need perfection, he needs purpose. He's not looking for someone who fits into a fantasy. He's looking for someone who fits into his reality, his real, everyday life, the moments that aren't glamorous, the days that don't come with filters, the conflicts that require maturity, the dreams that require sacrifice. He wants a woman who's anchored in her truth, not addicted to external validation. Someone who has her own standards, her own walk with God, her own inner peace. Not someone who shapes herself based on who she's trying to attract. Because a man of value has learned that beauty fades, performances tire, applause ends, but alignment grows stronger. It builds a legacy. It holds through storms. It doesn't crack when life gets heavy. When a man of value looks at a woman, he's asking a different set of questions. Not just, is she attractive? But is she authentic? And not just, can she make me look good? But can she challenge me to be better? And not just, does she know how to smile at my victories? But can she pray with me through my valleys? He's not easily swayed by curves or charm. He's attracted to character, to how she treats people who have nothing to offer her, to how she talks when no one is listening, to whether her loyalty is rooted in love or convenience. Because when a man is truly building, truly evolving, truly growing, he cannot afford to be connected to someone who is only pretending to match his energy. He needs a partner, not a performer. He needs a woman who's in tune with his mission, not a woman who's competing with his mirror. And here's the truth many don't want to hear. A lot of women are so caught up in trying to attract a high-value man that they forget the key is to align with one. Attraction is external. Alignment is internal. Attraction fades. Alignment endures. A man who values purpose doesn't stay where there is performance. He stays where there is peace, where there is clarity, where there is mutual growth, where the relationship itself is not based on image but on impact. That kind of man is not impressed by how well you can imitate a feminine ideal. He is moved by how well you embody it. Not perform submission, but live with humility. Not pretend to support, but actually believe in him. Not wear confidence like a costume, but carry it like a quiet strength. He's not evaluating you based on how loud your lifestyle is, but on how deep your spirit goes. Because he knows storms are inevitable, and when the storm comes, a performance will collapse. Only truth stands. So many chase chemistry, forgetting compatibility. So many seek excitement, forgetting endurance. But a high-value man looks at the long term. He knows that the woman who walks with him must be spiritually in tune, emotionally steady, mentally mature. And that doesn't mean you have to be flawless. It means you're willing to grow. It means you're open to truth. It means you're not just trying to be chosen. You're choosing yourself daily. You're developing yourself even when no one is watching. Because here's what no one tells you: alignment can't be faked. You can wear the right clothes, say the right things, mimic the right traits, but the energy never lies. Sooner or later, a high-value man will see the difference between performance and authenticity. And when he does, he will choose substance over spectacle every time. He'll choose the woman who shows up with depth, not just decoration. The woman who aligns with his soul, not just his schedule. The woman who fits his future, not just his fantasy. It's easy to perform when everything is perfect, but what happens when life is messy? What happens when plans fall apart? when success takes longer than expected, when disappointment shows up at the door. A woman who is only performing will fold, but a woman who is aligned will endure. She will adapt, support, and still remain whole, because she's not performing for love, she's rooted in it. She's not acting like she believes in him, she truly does. She's not trying to manipulate outcomes, she's partnering with purpose. That kind of energy is rare, that kind of woman is rare, and because she is rare, she's not trying to be seen by everyone. She's not chasing attention. She's not chasing status. She's not trying to be everything for everyone. She's walking in purpose, and when a man of value sees her, truly sees her, it doesn't feel like performance. It feels like peace. It feels like home. It feels like, this is what I've been preparing for. He sees that her heart is not for sale, her time is not wasted, her energy is not given away cheaply. She's not living in reaction, she's living in intention. And that intention creates alignment, not just physical attraction, not just emotional high, but real connection, deep respect, mutual honor, shared vision, and that's the kind of foundation a hive, a human builds legacy on. So, to every woman trying to be chosen by someone impressive, stop performing, start aligning, stop scripting your personality, start strengthening your spirit, stop studying what attracts them, start becoming what aligns with them. Because when you are aligned with who you are, you will naturally align with who is meant for you. And the man who is rooted in truth, in depth, in purpose, he won't choose the performance, he'll choose the one who was never acting. Desperation repels what self-respect naturally attracts. You can see it in the way a woman walks into a room, whether her energy is built on peace or on panic, whether she's trying to prove she's worthy or walking like she already knows she is. There is a silent confidence in a woman who knows her value. She doesn't have to beg. She doesn't have to chase. She doesn't have to overextend, because she knows something deeper. What is meant for her will never require her to lose herself. Self-respect is not arrogance. It's not pride. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's the quiet realization that you are enough without needing to be validated every second, that your worth was not assigned by others, so it cannot be taken away by others, that you don't need to be loud to be seen, and you don't need to be agreeable to be loved. Self-respect says, I honor myself enough to walk away from what dishonors me. Desperation says, I'll stay, even if it breaks me, just to not be alone. And the difference is everything. A woman who respects herself doesn't move from fear. She doesn't make decisions because she's afraid of being alone, afraid of not being chosen, afraid of not being liked. She makes decisions from clarity. She moves from truth. She speaks with purpose. And that energy, let me tell you, it commands the kind of attention that can't be manufactured with makeup, filters, or a perfectly curated life. It's the energy of boundaries, of integrity, of inner peace, of wholeness and hive. You men, real men of depth and vision, are drawn to that more than anything else. Desperation, on the other hand, smells like anxiety. It shows up as overgiving, over-apologizing, over-explaining. It leads a woman to accept crumbs and call it a meal, to stay in places where her spirit is starving because her ego is terrified of being rejected, to pour herself out for someone who hasn't even earned the right to hear her story. Desperation makes you shrink. Self-respect makes you stand tall, and when you stand tall, the right people can see you. They don't see your performance. They see your power. You see, when a woman is desperate, she lowers her standards just to be chosen. But when a woman respects herself, she raises her standards and chooses herself first. That doesn't mean she doesn't want love, of course she does, but she wants the kind of love that meets her where she's healed, not where she's broken. She doesn't want love just to fill a void. She wants it to amplify a life she already values, and because of that, she waits. She's patient, not passive, not indifferent, just secure. secure in the fact that being single with peace is better than being attached with pain. Self-respect shows up in the details, in how she says no without guilt, in how she doesn't entertain conversations that drain her soul, in how she doesn't explain her worth to people committed to misunderstanding her, in how she doesn't chase after what walks away. She knows rejection is not always loss, it's often redirection. She trusts that who she is becoming is too powerful to be wasted on someone who only sees her as an option. A desperate woman is consumed with proving her worth. A self-respecting woman lives like it's already proven, and that's magnetic, because there is nothing more attractive than a woman who doesn't need you to complete her. She's open to love but not dependent on it. She's nurturing but not needy. She can be soft without being spineless. She can serve without being subservient. She's a whole woman, not a half one waiting for someone else to make her feel valuable. Let's be clear, the world often celebrates desperation and calls it devotion. It tells women to shrink, to chase, to tolerate, to stay silent, to bend over backwards for men who haven't even learned how to be responsible with their own emotions. But that's not loyalty, that's self-betrayal. Real devotion is rooted in mutual honor. It's not about begging to be chosen. It's about knowing you're worth choosing and living like it, a hive. Your man doesn't want a woman who abandons herself just to get his attention. He wants a woman who is grounded, who is intentional, who knows who she is and where she's going. A woman who is willing to walk alone if it means walking in truth. A woman who doesn't sacrifice her standards for temporary affection. That kind of woman, she's unforgettable, because in a world full of noise, her silence speaks volumes. In a world full of copies, her authenticity shines. In a world full of girls trying to be seen, she's already secure in being known by God. Desperation makes you think love is something to be earned. Self-respect reminds you that love is something to be shared between two whole, healthy people who are committed to growing, to communicating, to walking in purpose. A self-respecting woman knows that the right love won't ask her to compromise her peace. It won't confuse her. It won't leave her guessing. It won't manipulate her with silence or breadcrumb her with inconsistency. The right love honors her. It protects her. It lifts her, because she first chose to honor, protect, and lift herself. If you've ever been in a place where you felt you had to overgive just to be noticed, overperform just to be kept, or overjustify just to be loved, pause. Breathe and ask yourself, who told you your value depended on their validation? Who convinced you that being loved meant being used? Who made you believe that desperation was romantic, because it's not? It's painful and it's unnecessary. The moment you decide that peace is more important than proximity, that self-respect is more valuable than attention, you shift your energy, and that shift, it changes everything. A woman with self-respect doesn't sit around hoping to be rescued. She's not auditioning for someone else's life. She's building her own, and when the right man comes along, he doesn't feel like a savior. He feels like a partner. He doesn't dominate her path. He walks beside her on it, and that partnership isn't built on fear. It's built on freedom. The freedom to be fully seen, fully known, fully loved, without pretending, without performing, without settling. So, if you want to be truly attractive, if you want to draw in what is aligned with your worth, don't chase, don't beg, don't shrink. Rise, root yourself in truth, speak life over yourself, choose your peace over people pleasing. Honor your body, your mind, your heart. Walk away from anything that requires you to abandon yourself, because the more you respect yourself, the more you'll recognize what does not, and that discernment. It will save you years of pain and cycles of confusion. You don't need to fight to be seen when you're walking in self-respect. You become undeniable. You don't need to manipulate to be loved when you're rooted in self-respect. You become magnetic. You don't need to overexplain to be accepted when you're living in self-respect. you become clear. And the clearer you become, the more aligned you become with the kind of love that sees you, honors you, and chooses you, not because you begged for it, but because you became it.